Well, a friend of mine, Sandy, called the other day and she said, Kay, she said, did you get the word that Johanna's mother passed away? And I said, no, I didn't know about that. And she said, well, did you know that she'd been sick with cancer for quite a while? And I said, no, I've totally lost touch with that family, but I wanted to know about it because I loved them and I wanted to know what they'd been going through. And so she talked to me about it for a few minutes, and she said, I want to tell you a little bit about what happened at the funeral. And I said, okay. And she said, well, she said, Mrs. Hale, she said, you remember Miss Hale, don't you? And I said, oh, absolutely, I remember. She always wore her hair in a French twist, and she was one of those ladies that looked sort of like Jacqueline Kennedy with a French twist, you know. And she always dressed really lovely and was very beautiful, and I remember the imprint that she made on her children and grandchildren. She loved her family so much. And so we talked about her for just a moment, and Sandy said, I said, well, Sandy, was she prepared at the time of her passing? And she said, absolutely. In fact, she was so prepared. She had her memorial service all written out. She knew exactly what she wanted. She even had her clothes picked out that she wanted to wear. I said, that does not surprise me. She picked this real special, I think it was like an Ann Taylor dress that had a rounded neck, black and white, really conservative, really classy and beautiful. And she just had all of her ducks in a row. Well, God took her home, and so they proceeded with all of their plans. And so Sandy said that she wanted to have a public memorial service and a private graveside service for just the family. So they honored her wishes. And so at the memorial service, they said lovely things about her, and she wanted the casket closed at that time. And then when they got graveside, she wanted the lid to be lifted in for the family to then share the final moments with them looking at her. And so they lifted up the lid of the casket and they gazed upon her, and all of a sudden Johanna knew something wasn't right, because Nana had on red sequins and feathers. And all of a sudden, they all kind of went, oh, they were looking at her, and all of a sudden, her teenage granddaughter said, what's Nana doing in my prom dress? Well, Johanna had put her mother's dress in the closet in a plastic bag. Of course, there were other dresses in plastic bags in the closet as well. And so Johanna grabbed the wrong bag and got her daughter's prom dress. So there lays grandmother. Oh, dear. So they're all just sitting there like, what do we do? What do we do? And Sandy's telling me this, and I said, Sandy, what did they do? And she said, well, it wasn't like they could take her home and change her. I said, well, I know. I realized that. But then I had this vision in my mind. Johanna takes this bag full of these fancy clothes and hands them to this man. He unzips them and opens it up. Woo! 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 I know he thought, woo, Granny's going out in style. And then what I found very interesting is that he had to get size 14 Granny in size 4 granddaughter dress. Don't you know that was interesting? So, I'm picturing all this in my mind, and I said, Sandy, what did they do? What did they do? And she said, Kay, she said, her grandson stood there and he said, well, she always did want to have the last laugh. So they stood there and gave a good chuckle and closed the lid and said, Lord, just take her to the big prom in the sky. Oh. Now, why do I tell you that tonight? I tell you that because it is springtime. And some of you grandmothers might want to go shopping with your granddaughter if there's even a remote chance you'll be spending eternity in her prom dress. You might want to pick a color that looks good on you.